The Beatitudes. The Beatitudes are a series of statements that Jesus spoke at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, as recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 3 to 12. Each beatitude begins with the phrase, "Blessed are," and presents a countercultural vision of happiness and blessing. Here are the Beatitudes with a longer explanation. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus is not simply referring to material poverty, but to an attitude of humility and dependence on God. Those who recognize their spiritual need and trust in God will experience the fullness of the divine kingdom. Blessed are those who cry, for they will be comforted. Here, Jesus addresses not just physical or emotional pain, but sadness over sin and suffering in the world. Those who genuinely mourn will find comfort in the presence and love of God. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Meekness is not weakness, but the willingness to submit our will to the will of God. Those who live humbly and softly will inherit divine blessings. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Jesus calls us to seek divine justice and to long for a world where equity reigns. Those who long for justice will experience the fullness of divine satisfaction. Blessed are the merciful, for they will obtain mercy. Mercy involves active compassion and willingness to forgive. Those who show mercy will receive mercy in their own lives. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. A pure heart is not contaminated by selfish or malicious motives. Those whose hearts are clean will experience the presence and revelation of God in their lives. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. The peace that Jesus mentions is not simply the absence of conflict, but reconciliation and restoration of relationships. Those who seek peace will act as children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus anticipates that those who live by kingdom principles will face opposition. Persecution for the sake of justice is a sign of identification with the divine kingdom. Blessed will you be when people revile you for my sake, persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you, lying. Jesus recognizes that his followers will face opposition and slander because of their loyalty to him. Despite this, they are promised blessing for their faithfulness. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, because so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. In this final verse, Jesus urges his followers to rejoice even in the midst of persecution, remembering that their reward in heaven will be great. The connection with previous prophets highlights the continuity of persecution for the sake of divine truth. The Beatitudes offer a transformative vision of divine blessing, challenging conventional perceptions of success and happiness by focusing on spiritual and ethical values. The Beatitudes have multiple purposes and applications in life. Here are some of the functions and meanings of the Beatitudes. Ethical guide. The Beatitudes offer an ethical and moral framework for the Christian life. They establish fundamental principles that guide the behavior of followers of Jesus in their relationship with God and with others. Countercultural vision of happiness. They counter conventional notions of success and happiness. While the world often associates happiness with power, wealth, and worldly success, the Beatitudes present a countercultural perspective, highlighting true blessing in humility, compassion, and justice. Conditions of the Kingdom of God. Jesus presents the Beatitudes as conditions for participating in the Kingdom of God. Those who live by these principles will experience the fullness of their relationship with God and the blessings of His kingdom. Model of life of Jesus. The Beatitudes reflect the character and lifestyle of Jesus. He himself lived according to these principles, being meek, merciful, a peacemaker, and suffering persecution for the sake of justice. Personal transformation. They invite an internal transformation. The Beatitudes are not just external rules, but a call for a transformation of heart and mind, leading to a life marked by holiness and grace. Comfort in suffering. They offer comfort to those facing hardship and persecution. Jesus recognizes that his followers may face challenges, but promises comfort and reward in the context of the kingdom of God. Identification with the disadvantaged. The Beatitudes often identify those who are considered disadvantaged in society, the poor, the mourning, the persecuted, as recipients of divine blessings, highlighting God's concern for the marginalized. Motivation for a godly life. They serve as motivation to live a pious life. The Beatitudes offer a high and challenging standard for followers of Jesus, encouraging them to live in ways that reflect God's grace and love. Instruction for prayer. They can be used as a guide in prayer. Each Beatitude provides a focus for reflection and prayer, inviting believers to consider how they can live by these principles in their daily lives. In summary, the Beatitudes play a fundamental role in Christian ethics, providing a path to a godly life, centered on love and justice, and offering comfort and hope in the midst of life's challenges.